Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. Before we get into the usual rundown of tickers, going to go over a couple member questions first. The first being the macro outlook, crypto, gold, the markets as a whole. S&P 500 has been dumping the last 2 days. In my opinion, there's absolutely no correlation between Bitcoin, the markets, and gold right now. If there were, we would be seeing Bitcoin going up the last couple of days, notably on the S&P 500 weakness. That's not the case. Gold has seen a bit of a bounce in the past couple of days in response to that as well. Gold is looking for a monthly high or low, so monthly consolidation has started on gold, and we know Bitcoin is looking for monthly consolidation and a higher low as well. So there is that similarity between the two, but again, on a day-to-day basis, not seeing any correlation. If this range that we're currently in were a no trade zone, and yes, it's a no trade zone. So if we're looking for a clear setup, we're looking for a bounce, and on that bounce, we're looking for a daily lower high. The only play that there is right now is looking for that daily lower high and making a bearish entry, or that's it. If you're trying to play a 15-minute oversold bounce looking for an hourly high or low, you're probably going to get chopped around. There's scenarios where we look at the longer-term time frames. In this instance, it's the daily chart that is going to be our guide, and unless you're looking to play the bottom before the daily bounce or the top of the daily bounce looking for a bearish entry, then it's not worth trading within this range in my opinion. There are times where there's a wide range and it is worth trading within that tightening range, but in this instance, that's not the case in my opinion. So unless you're looking for a bearish entry on the daily time frame, it's not worth trying to play anything under the hourly time frame on this current setup. Which criteria do I use to determine my bids and their spacing? Number one, am I near the computer? Am I going to be able to watch and be able to manage my trade as it's playing out? Or am I going to be flying and away from the computer for 6 hours and unable to adjust my positions? If I am going to be away, that means I'm more conservative and I have more space between my orders. So on this current scenario, if I'm back to all cash and I'm close to getting stopped out of my Bitcoin position right now, we'll go over that in just a minute. But if we see a drop, the rate of the drop and where the RSI levels stand dictate the spacing of my orders. The daily RSI would be right back to oversold if we drop down under 7,700. So I would have my spacing a little bit more aggressive than if the RSI had cooled off all the way to 40 and we weren't going to get back to oversold conditions again in the near term. I'm also watching the 4-hour time frame. So I can say that if we're going to drop under 7,700 within the next 2 days, that 4-hour RSI will get oversold with the daily as well. And again, I can personally be a little bit more aggressive and have a little bit less space in between my orders. I always keep my position sizes the same as far as scaling in a certain number every order. It's just the space between the orders that I adjust depending. So another thing that'll have me adjust my orders is if we get a bounce going. If I'm playing the daily oversold bounce and the bounce starts, then I will pull my orders and then readjust them. Again, because the RSI levels have cooled off. We've already seen some of the bounce that I was looking to play initially. Those are all factors that determine how I enter my scale in orders. So I haven't even established placing new scale in orders just yet. When I do get stopped out and go back to all cash, that is when I will do so, and it will be starting with under 7,700. Do I have expected targets when patterns break? I have rough targets, but I don't really play based off of them. For example, everyone was asking me, what do you expect a target to be if we get a bear break of this weekly equilibrium pattern? I zoomed out to the monthly chart. I said, okay, well, we're looking for a monthly high or low. I would look for the mid $7,000 range and these monthly exponential supports to be a potential initial target. From there, I just take new information every day. So I don't like the standard set a target on a pattern, because I'm going to get information the first day the pattern breaks, and the second day, that's going to give me information as to how much follow through there is, how much volume there is. So setting a target and then getting that new information and disregarding it because I've already set my target, I'll never do that. I will have a moving target based on what the short-term action and the short-term indicators are telling us. So I personally will have rough ideas, but I don't like just setting a target and then waiting for that level to hit, regardless of what's going on in the shorter term time frames. Thoughts on breaking 3,000? I don't think that's happening. We're looking for a monthly high or low. If we're going to break 3,000, in my opinion, it would result in something along these lines. Monthly high or low, lower high, lower low. that's where I could see breaking 3,000. So I don't anticipate, again, volume is a guide. We see declining volume on this consolidation. So I'm just looking for a monthly high or low. And if we were to pull back significantly, that would make me even more aggressive personally. I will be less aggressive if we set a monthly high or low and then see a bounce that's weak. And then we open up the possibility of continuing the monthly downtrend, keeping in mind we haven't changed the monthly trend yet. Until we get a clear higher low and higher high, we are not in a monthly uptrend. We broke the monthly downtrend on this move, but we have not confirmed a monthly uptrend. So I don't foresee breaking 3,000 anytime soon. And if we do, in my opinion, it would be Q2 2020 at the earliest, unless there's some massive monumental news, which can't really think of what would cause that significant a drop at this current point in time. I believe that's it for now. So let's get into the regular technical analysis. I have my Bitcoin stop loss under the low of this current consolidation. I will happily exit and be back to all cash. My account will be the highest level it's been in 2019, playing this most recent Bitcoin and Ethereum bounce. And I will start with a fresh clean slate and place bids again in case we do drop to lower lows. If Bitcoin breaks this level of 8168, the odds that our daily lower high has been set will increase a good bit, and we'll be looking back down at that 77 level. We didn't even test the daily exponential resistances, so it is possible we see one more leg up. I did have a sell order at 85, 89 that just missed triggering. So after missing that fill, I then moved my order from being a sell order to now just being a stop limit. Because again, I'm traveling the next couple of days. I'm not sitting at my computer, and I just would very happily be back to all cash and wait for some more clarity in the short term if that level does break. Checking in on Ethereum. Ethereum has had a much stronger bounce, but it is rejecting from the daily exponential resistance right now. We have a higher low at 164.34, so anything above that level is another daily higher low, keeping this little uptrend intact. If we lose that level, then we're just looking at a weekly lower high potentially being set, although this bounce hasn't even followed through enough to give us a weekly lower high. Essentially, I'm just watching the daily higher lows, and when that is lost, we know we will have topped out. Checking the 2-day time frame, it's a little bit more clear as far as the magnitude of this bounce. The size of the drop, the magnitude of the bounce, still hard to be very confident with where we stand. Even though it's been a great percentage bounce, absolutely, we just have to keep in mind that before that bounce, we dropped 33% in a week, and then we saw a bounce of 22%, so the bulls still have proving to do. And again, bears are laying in wait and watching for daily lower highs to be set. So right now, short-term support is 173.85. If we fail to break 185.89 and then drop down and break 173.85, we will be in a 4-hour downtrend that has happened recently, and it just led to a daily higher low, which is why I'm using the daily time frame as my guide for these little higher lows and the uptrend. Ethereum, definitely one of the stronger bounces and holding up the best out of all these names we're watching out there. The reason being this ETH BTC chart is still very strong and is close to a breakout. And if we see this 223 break, that will be very notable. If we reject from that level and see a break of our daily support of 207, that will also be notable. These are the two most important levels for me. If we see that bear break, we zoom out. We can choose different kinds of time frames, but I would be watching a 2-day equilibrium chart. High, low, lower high, and then we'd be looking for a higher low compared to 1887 if we break that short-term level. And of course, if we get the bull break, we zoom out to the weekly, and we will still have not topped out on the weekly time frame yet if that 223 level is able to break. Litecoin is a very weak bounce. And you look at this and say, well, it looks like a bear flag, but it's pretty drawn out and extended. There's always another time frame to get what you want to see in terms of clarity. This is the 2-day chart. Absolutely, that's a 2-day bear flag right now. The size of the pullback versus the size of the bounce currently favors the bears in a big way. We have to test the daily exponential resistance. If we drop down and break this equilibrium on the 4-hour bearish by breaking 54.87, the odds of it being a 2-day bear flag will increase. 52.18 and 50.25 support levels come after that. But again, just the size of the bounce and comparing it to Ethereum, completely different pictures. LTC BTC is also struggling to get any kind of bounce going. It's already consolidating on the weekly chart. We have the low, high of the bounce. Bulls are trying for a weekly higher low to form, but again, a completely different picture than what ETH BTC is seeing right now. And the Litecoin bulls would have to break 78.75, our recent top, in order for a notable recovery comparative to Bitcoin. But right now, it's just another weekly lower high, keeping those bears in control of this prolonged downtrend for the Litecoin Bitcoin pairing. XRP, similar to Ethereum, with the size of its bounce, one of the stronger names at this point. We have multiple inside bars forming. Technically, this did drop to a little lower low, but pretty much a daily inside bar. We have to see the 4-hour trend change back to the bulls with a higher low and higher high in order for our daily higher low to be established. And we got short-term resistance up at 263. Another note on the bigger picture of things, stockbrokers are now at a mad race to the bottom for zero commission fees. And that's what this news is right here in the corner. Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade now all have zero fees for trading stocks. Fidelity has yet to follow, but they better, because I'm about to leave, and so are a whole bunch of people if they don't follow suit. But it's just important to note, because I pay a lot more fees in crypto than I currently do in the stock market world, and now that's going to only magnify. So again, if you end up trading, hundreds of times in a year, that ends up being thousands of dollars that are saved, and it just makes the stock trading world a little bit more attractive than the crypto trading space. It is a competition. I'm the perfect example because I'm constantly trading both crypto and stocks, but this is just one more point in favor of the utility that the stock market gives us. Tons of instruments, trading both directions, leveraged ETFs, options, and now zero fees on our trades. Big plus. So XRP, anything above 2348 is a daily higher low. Just like Ethereum daily higher lows that we're watching, got to be watching XRP as well. And when we lose the daily higher lows, our top of the move will be set. Again, 2-day time frame, high, low. We're scouting our lower high. Has not confidently been set yet, but we're keeping an eye out for it. Binance is a very weak bounce. Again, is it a bear flag? It's too extended. Just pull up the 2-day chart, and it is a bear flag. If we see a break of short-term support levels, if we drop under 1550, odds of a bear flag will increase a good bit. 1462 and 1425 will come after that. Haven't even tested daily exponential resistance. This is probably one of the weakest bounces out there that we're going to look at. Aside from pretty much Binance, Litecoin, and Bitcoin are the weaker bounces. XRP and ETH are the stronger bounces. And looking at EOS, it too is one of the stronger bounces. Pulling it up. So anything above 268 is a higher low on the daily time frame. We are hitting the daily exponential resistance and rejecting, just like Ethereum. These little higher lows are key to keeping the bulls in control. Again, we did have a very big drop. So you look at the 2-day time frame for perspective, and we're just looking for a lower high on this bounce to be set, and losing these little daily higher lows will be the indication that that lower high has been set at this point. So again, if you are looking for trades on these names right now, in my opinion, it's only bearish entries looking for daily lower highs or patiently waiting for more clarity. The bull entries have already passed. We had days where we had opportunity for those bull entries, whether it was the initial Bitcoin pullback or the lower test of that level, the double bottom 3 days later. And again, if not in bullish positions at this point, unless you're scalping day trades, I just don't like the risk to reward knowing that lower highs on these bounces are expected. So I appreciate you tuning in. We'll check back in and be back to the normal routine later this weekend, or later this week, tomorrow. And I'll see you all then. Do good things. Thanks for tuning in. And keep an eye out for breaks of 4-hour and daily supports to increase the odds that our daily lower highs have been set.